All right, guys, if you want to hit your driver better, I'm going to show you what I did with a recent student of mine that really helped him with his driver. Something I've been doing a lot of lessons. I want to make sure you have it in your swing as well. Now, we're going to be showing some models on the screen here. Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, all in their primes. Love those swings, love those driver swings. And one of the things you're going to see here that they're able to do, and we'll work through the details and the drill that I went with my student in a moment, but one of the things you're going to see amongst great drivers of the golf ball on the way back is their ability to get their lead shoulder to control the motion and get their lead shoulder to get past the middle of their stance, at or past the middle of their stance by about left arm parallel, okay? Now, we don't need to move exactly like those players, okay? I can't move like Tiger Woods or Rory, you probably can't either, but the closer we get, the better we'll hit. What I've been seeing a lot, my friend Craig Hansen says that, I love that. So what I've been seeing a lot lately is what I call this all arms backswing. And this is what my student had. In fact, several of my students in the past couple of weeks have had this, where we make this backswing and there's no using the core or the shoulders to get the club moving back. It's all arms and hands. Now, the problem with all arms and hands is a couple things. Number one, in order to get the club far enough back, the arm's got to have a lot of fold to them. The backswing gets narrow, there's no swing length, and there's no body motion. Now, normally from here, we're going to get the exact opposite coming down. We're going to get, right, all arms early, no body, lots of early release, no power, consistency. No consistency. I see it all the time. This is the bad, right? Now, put those models up there. Watch what they do. They use their lead shoulder to transport that club back to get into a position where they have width. Look at that width they have, okay? Even by about halfway back, you'll notice the right arm's pretty wide. The club's not hinged up past 90. They got a lot of width here, a lot of stored power to work on the way down. We know to get the club into the golf ball driver, to hit it the farthest and best, you know, we want the club approaching the golf ball from low and inside. Nice low angle of attack from inside. Very difficult to do that from here, steep and narrow, okay? Very easy to do that from here, wide and turned. Now that checkpoint I gave my student, you'll see I've got this club here to start with. I'm gonna give you a couple variations and ways to do this. But the first image I want you to think about when you take your setup, let's get into a good setup position, and we'll see Justin and Rory and Tiger there. Notice that the setup position, you know, they have varying ball positions. Rory a little bit more back, Justin a little bit more forward, depends on the ball flight you want. Let's say the ball's underneath the lead armpit, but you will notice they've all got tilt away from the target. So the first thing is their lead shoulder goes up, their trail shoulder goes down. And the tilt at setup, okay, we want to have, that helps us preset hitting up on it, but it also enables us to keep our shoulders square. One of the big things my student had, and I see this a lot, is level shoulders. Now, why can't we have level shoulders? You'll notice the pros, you know, they're anywhere from, let's say 6 to 8 or 9 degrees tilted. We can put them on the screen. They're clearly tilted behind the ball there. That enables us, again, to keep our shoulders square. When the shoulders are level and the head's more forward from the down the line angle, let's show a split screen, you'll notice the shoulders will always be too open. That's gonna make us hit down and across. So in order to get the club working from low and inside, step number one is we got a little tilted setup, okay? You'll notice their stance width a little bit wider, ankles about just outside shoulders. It's all good at the setup. But the key move, I drew a yellow line up their shoulders. You're gonna notice when they go back, notice all of them get their lead shoulder working away from that line, and that's what starts the swing, and that's what creates width, okay? None of them keep their lead shoulder where it is. If you do that, you're gonna notice your arms are working against your body, very tight, restricted, no power. What you wanna feel is that the lead shoulder's working back, and you're able to get that width. Notice all their lead shoulders working away from the line. You'll notice all three of them, there'll be a little press or push into the trail foot as their lead shoulder goes back. Their head actually works ever so slightly away from the target. That's okay for driver, okay? Boom to here, boom to here. And they get to the point where by about lead arm parallel in the backswing, they're able to get that shoulder to the middle of their stance line. And that's the checkpoint I would use if I've got this in here right. You put a club about in the middle of your ankles, probably go back a little farther, not in line with the golf ball, in the middle of your stance, and you want to get your lead shoulder at or past that line by about 3/4 or halfway back. Now, some of you who don't turn at all are like, holy cow, I'm not able to do that. I bet with a little practice you would be able to. Okay, in fact, I have very rarely found a student who's not flexible enough to get a full turn. There's little hacks you can put in, like closing your stance, flaring your foot, etc. But the main thing is we're trying to get the shoulder back. Now I'd be like, Eric, I can't get it that far back. That's okay, just wherever you currently are, get farther back than that. Like make an improvement with the backswing. Why do I need to do that, Eric? Because then I can have this good width. Then I can have this good width and swing from inside. What if I don't do that? Then your arms are going to overfold and you're going to be narrow and steep. That's why you're not going to hit it as far as you want to, as far as you used to be able to, as far as you think you should be able to, right? It's all about the lead shoulder. So one of the things, I like two ways to practice it, right? First things first, just that visual is kind of cool. But I also like, and I learned this from my friend JT Thomas, take your setup motion, take your lead hand and put it into a fist, and you're essentially going to feel like you're punching away from the target. So you take your left hand and you punch that away. Now I'm trying to stretch that let's say my hand or the arm, as far away from me as I can without my upper body going obnoxiously away, okay? How far away is my upper body allowed to go, Eric? Maybe an inch, you know, a little bit of motion to the right with the head's fine. But I'm looking to get this punching away motion. I like that a lot. I'm not punching away with my head, you know, my chest down, my head way to the right. I'm not punching away and moving to the target. I'm keeping my height and maybe moving about an inch away, Now that punch feeling, when I take that with a club in, okay, try that feel, and now feel the same thing with a club in. You're gonna be, oh wow, okay, that feels pretty good. It feels like I'm able to get some good width on the way back compared to normal. In fact, another way to feel the same thing, if you put your lead hand sort of out in front of you like this, in fact, you can do it with a club. I showed my student this to feel the shoulders. With your lead hand, club about parallel to the ground, trail hand on the side of your body. Try and push that club away from you without your head going forward. Feel that? Now what's happening there is my shoulders protracting, my shoulders pushing forward. And as that's happening, I can feel my trail shoulder pull back around. See that motion there? That's like a lot of the backswing, quote unquote, turn you're getting is from the shoulder motion. So if I take that same feel, I'm trying to get my shoulder behind the middle of my stance, and I'm trying to let that shoulder protract away. How far away? About as far as you can, without your head moving more than an inch to the right, and without your chest going down towards the ground. Okay, and again, the goal of that, I got my good tilted setup. The goal of that shoulder transporting is good width, which is going to lead to good shallow angle of attack, swinging from inside, hitting high and far shots. So to start with, I do one or two of those rehearsals, good tilted setup, feel the shoulder past the midline. Looks like I'm punching away with my lead arm there, maximum width. I'm going to feel the same thing with my hit, good tilted setup, shoulders going past the midline and away. And that's going to be my first hit. And the goal there is what you're trying to look for with the ball flight is a little bit higher than normal, solid contact compared to normal as well. We're going to do one more of those, and then we'll give you a couple little downswing caveats. Okay, let's go same thing here, good tilted setup. And I'm going to feel that left arm punch, good width on the way back. Trying to get the shoulder behind the ball and back to my midline. Let the shoulder lead the way. And again, that's what I'm looking for out of there compared to normal. Hey, did I do this right or not? Outside of using video is solid, higher, and farther compared to normal. Okay, now from there on the downswing, let's say, all right, let me get this club out of here. What am I trying to feel? What you're trying to feel on the way down from there depends a little bit on your current pattern. So there's really sort of two golfers that I see, and it's relative to their swing plane. And this is going to affect what you need to feel on the way down. Swing plane being the line of the shaft here. Golfer number one is typically too far over plane, this way. Probably hit down a little bit too much. Hit some pulls when you hit them solid and square the face up, and tend to hit some fades or slices for the bad ones that go weak right. That's kind of golfer one. Golfer two, relative to that swing plane, swings probably underneath that a little bit too much, hits dead pushes to the right that are pretty solid, and then will tend to overhook some to the left. So basically, whichever side of that you're on depends on what you need to feel on the way down. Okay, so both of us, no matter what you're at there, you want to have tilted setup. All of us, you want to have that lead shoulder back behind the ball, trying to get to the midline. Okay, that's the goal. Move the club back with the lead shoulder. Now you'll see on the way down, relative to the line they started, all these players, you'll see the circles and the arrows, they get their lead shoulder back away from that line on the way back. They get back to it at kind of like hands hip high, and really from hands hip high through, the shoulder's really working up and back all the way through the golf ball. And that's universally true. The shoulder gets to the line, doesn't go through it, it gets to the line, and then the shoulder's working up and back on the way through. You'll see that with all three of those models. But again, where you're coming from, really it depends on like what you need to feel. What you need to feel depends on where you're coming from. So if you're the player who has this over it and you hit pulls and fades, you probably, once you get the lead shoulder behind the ball, want to feel like your lead shoulder stays back, like your shoulders are a little more closed, and you really feel the up part. You're going to feel like the part goes up. That's going to help keep the club from inside. And you're probably from there going to need to allow the club to work a little more to the right, maybe close the face a little bit. Okay, you're going to feel the shoulders up, not open as much, up, club a little bit more to the right with a little bit more face closing. That'll help you if you hit pulls and fades. If you're like me who hit pushes and hooks from here, you're going to feel the opposite. You're going to feel like the shoulder goes more around. Notice how when I do that, that helps get the club more over plane. You're not going to feel up as much. You're going to feel more around. Maybe the club swinging a little more left, maybe holding the face a little bit relative to normal. So it really depends on where you're coming from. So I'll do my version. I hit push and hooks. We're going to all set up the same. Ball positioned under the armpit, tilt away from the target, right? The feet are outside of shoulder width, all good there. 50-50 in my feet. Shaft's about 90 degrees straight up, not forward or back. From here, I'm getting the lead shoulder back to the middle of my stance, right? That's my feel on the way back. And then from there, for me, I want to feel like my lead shoulder goes around more, so that gets the club over plane, and almost like I'm going to swing a little more left, kind of hold the face a little. That will prevent pushes and hooks. Okay, so the good setup with good tilt, lead shoulder goes back, and then for me, kind of down and around. Yeah, and so right there, that straightens out my ball. If I hit that basically dead straight, when my normal will be a little bit more pushy and hooky because I get under plane. Again, if you're the golfer who's too over plane, you don't want to feel the shoulder going down and around. You want to feel the shoulder going up and kind of staying closed a little. So if you're the over the top player, tilt's going to help you. Kind of how much tilt should you have? Your fingertips should be kind of just above your kneecap here on the side of your leg. Shoulder back behind the golf ball. Now I'm going to feel the shoulder go up, more like Rory, not as far around. Let that club head sling a little more high and right. Maybe let that toe pass the heel a little bit more compared to normal. That'll help get you on plane and fix some of the pulling and the fading. So good tilt. Shoulder back behind the golf ball. Shoulders kind of straight up, club path a little to the right if you're an over fader. Tilt, shoulder behind the ball. Yeah, and so there's like a high, ball started a little bit farther right, solid, and drew back maybe 10 yards to the right center of the fairway. That's what I would use if you're more on that pull and fade pattern. So all of us, and why a lot of golfers can't hit their driver solid, I see this all the time. Set up with the shoulders too level, which makes them too open, and all arms on the way back. Not enough shoulder back. Eric, I can't turn that much. Turn more than you currently do. As much as you can within reason, okay? Use the lead shoulder punching back away. Punching back away. Remember, you're trying to get this as far away from you as you can with your head staying reasonably centered, okay? That's gonna be the piece, gonna be a lot more power and solid contact. And then what you need to feel on the way down depends on where you're coming from. And if you're not sure, go to cogornogolf.com, send the videos in. We can analyze them, tell you exactly what you need to feel so you can hit your driver much better. Any questions, as always, leave a comment down below. Appreciate you watching.